The world is crazy right now, and home birth is more popular than ever. With that brings many questions. So I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions for you right now. Welcome to my channel. I am Amber with 1898 Mama, and I talk all things motherhood, homeschooling, and homemaking. So if any of those topics interest you, make sure you hit the like button. Let's get into the home birth questions. So I asked on Facebook and Instagram and maybe even Snapchat if anybody had any questions about home birth. So I'm going to answer those questions that I got for you right now. The first one I got was, how did you get into or interested in home birth? So with my very first baby 8 years ago, I was kind of intrigued by it and I wanted to do it, but there was way too much fear, so it didn't happen. I had looked into it a little bit, but I wasn't going to do it. We do live about 40 minutes away from any hospital, so there was way too much fear and I was not going to attempt that with my first kid. Number 2 comes along and I actually met with a midwife about an hour and a half away and talked to her, and we were almost ready to go, and then all of a sudden this midwife basically vanished, and I still to this day have no idea what happened. But I did hear some rumors once that she ended up going to jail for doing home births because at that point it wasn't legal in South Dakota. Now I don't know if that's true or if that's just a rumor. But so I didn't get to have a home birth with number 2. Number 3, I couldn't find any midwives, still wasn't legal. And then baby number 4, I get pregnant and I am determined to have a home birth. Now luckily at this point, South Dakota was in the process of making home birth legal, and I found a midwife in Minnesota just on the border, which was actually about an hour and a half away from me. So I met her and I dealt with her and it was awesome. And actually my fourth baby was actually the first legal South Dakota home birth. So that's a fun little tip about my baby. And then after that, number 5, obviously we had a unassisted birth, so no midwife, just a home birth, and it was amazing and it was fantastic. I don't know exactly whatever spurred it on. I am a little bit, for lack of a better term, hippie-ish. I don't know what else to call me. I am into natural things, so knowing that birth is not really a medical need. But with baby number 1, I totally let the fear of everything that you hear get into my head, and I was too scared to try home birth. How did you mentally prepare? I don't really know how I mentally prepared. I can tell you exactly how I mentally prepared for a natural birth with my first baby, and that was I did not even think of an epidural as an option. That was not even getting into my brain. I told the nurses as soon as we got to the hospital, do not offer it, do not talk about it, because to me, it's just not something that exists. And that's kind of all I did. Now, it does help a lot that I am very, very scared of getting that giant needle put into my back. So for that, as far as the pain, that's kind of all the tips I have for you. Don't even let an epidural be an option. How much did it cost and did insurance cover it? Now with baby number 4, insurance did cover it. We paid the midwife $4,500, and I can't remember the exact amount that insurance covered, but it was a hassle to get any money back. Number 5 comes along, and my husband's insurance did this weird switcheroo thing where they got new guidelines and stuff, so insurance told us they don't know if they could cover it or not, but we could try afterwards. So that's what spurred on the unassisted birth thing, was that we did not want to fork out $4,500 to a midwife. But we did also need to buy supplies. My midwife did let me rent a birth pool. Actually, I don't even know if I rented it. I think she just let me use it for free. But with number 5, I did buy a birth pool. I bought a used birth pool for $100, and then I think random supplies were between $50 and $100. What did you do with your children? Just like any hospital birth, you can send them with grandma and grandpa or a babysitter or whoever. I would like to have my children here, but my husband is completely against it. Why did you choose water birth? Because it's something that I never did. I had a water birth with babies 4 and 5. So I wanted to try something new with number 4. I had it there and I knew I had the option, but I wasn't 100% sure I was going to do it until I was in it. And even to this point, with every pregnancy, I'm going to say, well, I'll have the birth pool up, but I may or may not use it. Now, I will probably use it because it helps tremendously with the pain. What about cleanup? With the midwife and her student helpers cleaned up, but with our unassisted birth, my husband did everything and it was pretty much cleaned up within the hour. It didn't take very long at all. What do you do with the placenta? Now, there's some women who ship it off to somebody and they dehydrate it and grind it and make it into pills. I don't do that. I actually have my placentas in some freezer bags in the freezer and we will plant them with a tree. What if something goes wrong? I'm not going to deny that this is possible. I have definitely done a tremendous amount of research and know the protocol for when and if I need to go to a hospital, when and if we need to call 911, what needs to happen should something go wrong. I have a little box here of some things that I did to prepare in case something did go wrong, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff right now. I had a student midwife that was at my 4th birth come and talk to me when I was pregnant with my 5th baby, and we kind of went over some things, and she actually let me borrow this book, Heart and Hands, that I need to return to her. And then I had this pregnancy, childbirth, and newborn book. Can you see it? Honestly, I didn't really use any of these. If you had to do one thing, this is 100% what you need to get. Heather Baker's book, Home Birth on Your Own Terms. This has everything that you need to know about home birthing. Get it. Now, as you can see, I have little tabs here, and that is for situations that are pretty, I shouldn't say common, but commonly could go wrong. So I have bleeding after birth, bleeding in labor, a breech baby, shoulder stuck, CPR, and then what to do during the first hour. So if my husband needed to, he could grab this book, look what he needed to look at real quick, and read what she had. So if you were having a home birth, get this book. I also put some of these things in some, I could have laminated them, but I was out of laminating paper. But just some plastic pages in case they got wet for an emergency. So I had the shoulder stuck, bleeding and hemorrhage, baby not breathing, conditions for an emergency transfer, and breech baby. And then I actually just looked on Pinterest and found these things and kind of blew them up and printed them off. But it tells you signs for concerns, initial responses, continued action is required, and that kind of stuff. So if you want these things and you can't find them, go ahead and comment down below and I can send you, I'm pretty sure I still have pictures. If not, I can just scan them real quick and send them to you. But just to comment down below, give me your email address, and I will get you some of these. What does your husband think? Honestly, he hates having to stay in a hospital. That was the worst thing for him when we had hospital births. So I think the fact that he gets to be at home makes it worth it. He probably thought I was a little bit weird at first. I don't know 100%, but he never told me. So I don't know. Were you scared? Is it scary? No. I was scared for the pain, but I wasn't scared to have a home birth at all. Why did you want to? So the reasons that I want to are that I can't really do what I want in the hospital. My hospital births were not bad at all. I had really good hospital births. I loved my doctor, who is now retired, but I wasn't able to birth in positions that I felt natural to birth in. I wasn't able to, actually with baby 3 they let me eat. But with the first 2, I wasn't able to eat. I don't even remember if I wanted to. You know, just little things like that. So that's kind of it. I don't really have a huge why because my hospital births weren't bad. And I would do it again. What are the differences between home birth and hospital? I kind of just said a little bit, but they're not really comparable. They're completely different birth stories, situations, and even in the home birth situation, a midwife birth is much different than an unassisted birth. I should actually probably make a video on the differences between this, but just know that it's not even comparable. There's so many differences. You don't have people coming in and bothering you all the time. You can birth the way that you feel that is the most comfortable. You can stay in a tub the whole time if you want. You can eat. I had Fruit Loops when I was in labor. You know, you can do whatever you want and however you want it. There you go, you guys. There's some answers to some home birth questions for you. If you like this video, hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so that you are notified when I come out with new videos on Tuesdays and Fridays.